They say no one leaves the old asylum once they enter, and those who do, they're never the same again. Tonight, I step inside the place where whispers never fade, where shadows move on their own, and where something not human, still waits. What I captured on camera will haunt you forever. The night was darker than usual. An eerie silence blanketed the air as a cold wind whispered through the barren trees. The small town had its fair share of legends, but nothing compared to the story of the old asylum hidden deep in the woods. A place so cursed that even the bravest refused to utter its name after sundown. Rumor spoke of a doctor who had conducted horrifying experiments on his patients, twisting their bodies, breaking their minds, and keeping them trapped between life and death. Some said their spirits never left, haunting the decayed walls, waiting for someone to join them in eternal suffering. Jake had heard it all before, but to him, it was just another story. A horror-obsessed vlogger. He lived for places like this, real, terrifying, and forgotten by time. Armed with his camera and flashlight, he ventured into the forest, determined to uncover the truth. The deeper he walked, the heavier the air became, as if something unseen was pressing down on him, watching. His camera flickered for a brief second. Static. The battery was full. It made no sense. A cold breath brushed the back of his neck. He spun around. Nothing. Just trees, their twisted branches reaching for him like skeletal hands. He pressed forward, heart pounding. The asylum loomed ahead, a grotesque silhouette against the night sky. The front door creaked open on its own. He stepped inside, the floor groaning beneath his weight. The air was thick with decay, and something else, something metallic, the scent of old blood. His flashlight trembled in his hand. The walls were lined with broken medical equipment, rusted gurneys, and scattered patient files. A whisper. Soft. Indistinct. He whipped around. Nobody. "Is anyone here?" he called out, his voice barely above a whisper. Silence. A slow, dragging sound echoed from the hallway. His breath hitched. His camera's night vision flickered, revealing a faint figure at the end of the corridor. A patient gown, long matted hair, its back hunched unnaturally. It stood still, unmoving, watching. Jake swallowed hard. "Hello!" A sudden, bone-chilling scream tore through the silence. His flashlight died. The darkness swallowed him whole. He scrambled for his backup light, hands shaking. When the beam finally flickered on, the figure was gone. His pulse thundered in his ears. His feet moved before his mind could, sprinting toward the exit, but the doors had vanished. He spun in frantic circles. This wasn't possible. The building had shifted. The walls had stretched, morphing, sealing him inside. Then the laughter started. Low, sinister. Shadows bled from the corners, creeping toward him like living ink. He turned, his camera still rolling. The lens captured movement, a face in the glass of an old operating room. The doctor. Hollow eyes. A grin too wide, skin stretched unnaturally tight. Jake stumbled back, his breath ragged. He wasn't alone. A cold hand clamped around his wrist. He screamed, jerking free, but his skin burned where he had been touched. Dark bruises formed in the shape of fingers. Footsteps, dozens of them, slapping against the tile, rushing toward him. The air turned suffocating. The walls groaned, bending inwards as if the asylum itself was alive. He ran, blind with terror, bursting through a set of doors into a long hallway lined with old patient rooms. The doors swung open one by one, revealing grotesque figures inside, twisted bodies, soulless eyes, mouths gaping in silent screams. Something was behind him, breathing. He could feel it. The doctor's rasping voice murmured in his ear. "You came to see, didn't you?" Jake bolted, his lungs on fire. His camera was his only proof. He had to get out. He had to. The floor collapsed beneath him. He plummeted into darkness. Cold hands grabbed him, pulling, dragging him into the abyss. He kicked, thrashed, but their grip was unyielding. Then silence. The camera lay on the ground, its red light blinking in the empty hallway. A single frame frozen on the screen. Jake's face, twisted in terror, a pair of skeletal hands gripping his shoulders. Some say the asylum still stands, waiting for its next visitor. And if you listen closely, on the windiest nights, you can still hear his screams, forever trapped in the place he thought was just another story.